Radio London.
The home of London football.
Saturday Sport.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to the tunnel, I think it's fair to say. If you can hear us down here at the GTEC Community Stadium, where we'll hopefully get some reaction to the game here that we've been bringing you. Let's get some full-time details elsewhere first. Let's go to our final commentary game of the day. Let's get team news. Emma Jones, who's at Brighton against West Ham. Emma.
Couple of changes each. So Brighton making a change of goalkeeper. Bart Verbruggen, who is new, replaces Jason Steele in goal. No Enciso for the home side. He got injured in training. He's a long-term injury, but that does mean a first start for the season of Evan Ferguson, the exciting young Irish talent. West Ham also making a couple of changes. One of them also forced on them due to that sending off of Agard in the 3-2 win for West Ham against Chelsea last weekend. So Ogbonna comes in for him in defence, and Edson Alvarez makes his first start for David Moyes' side.
Yeah, I mean, they travelled down there. It's interesting, though, with obviously off the back of the win last week, and also positively with some good signing news as well.
Yeah, they've obviously added to their team, not quite ready to start. Mavropanos has come in, and I'm told that Kudus is undergoing a medical. So a player who very recently scored a hat-trick for Ajax in a Europa League qualifier, and it looks as if he is very close to joining West Ham too.
Brighton, though, I mean, obviously we know that they've Enciso with a really such a shame of an injury. What a great player that he's got, but Brighton just seem to be able to lose players and bring players in. They've still got to
sell them for hundreds of millions of pounds.
Yeah, production factory of them, haven't they? It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they do, very much like what Brentford do, and it's almost as if Brighton expect that. But in Roberto De Zerbi, they found this extraordinary manager who just seems to get the best out of these players and manages to deal with the fact that they have lost players like McAllister and Caicedo over the course of the summer. It is a big blow that they've lost Enciso, but of course Ferguson is an exciting young player. Matoma scored a brilliant goal the other week, and Solly Marsh has already scored 3 goals. We're already 2 games into the season. They have scored 4 goals, Brighton, in both of their first 2 matches of this campaign, and they have never lost in the Premier League to West Ham. It is a bogey team for the Hammers.
Yeah, don't say that. Moisey doesn't like you saying that. He doesn't like that word, Emma.
No, I know.
It's not
I still
nice
remind
word.
him though. It's interesting, actually. This game 2 seasons ago, very last day of the season, was the match in which Brighton beat West Ham to deny them Europa League football. So they ended up playing in the Europa Conference League instead. That's meant that they have qualified for the Europa League, and of course Brighton will be playing in Europe this season for the first time. I think they find out who they'll be playing on Friday, which will be a very busy day for West Ham, because of course they've got a trip to Luton and it's transfer deadline day as well.
Yes, it's going to be quite active, isn't it, really? Yeah, thank you very much. I'm back with you shortly. We're going to get some reaction here in the tunnel, hopefully, from Brentford and Crystal Palace in the next half hour or so. Simon Bassey alongside Emma, and maybe catch up with Simon before they kick off. Right now on DAB Digital Radio, we're about to bring you our third commentary game of the day from the Premier League. 2 teams who are in Europe, therefore won't play in the second round of the League Cup. It's Brighton against West Ham United. Your commentary team down at the Amex are Simon Bassey alongside Emma Jones.
Thank you very much to Phil. So a reminder that our look back at our earlier commentaries continues on 94.9 FM with the Far Post and Phil Parry, but on BBC Radio London Digital and on the BBC Sport website. We are on the South Coast for the last of our 3 Premier League commentaries on this very busy Saturday afternoon, and it is West Ham who've travelled to the Amex to take on Brighton and Hove Albion. Both of these sides coming into this game off the back of victories in their last match. In fact, Brighton have scored 4 goals in both of their opening 2 fixtures of this season. Most recently, winning 4-1 away against Wolves, while West Ham won their first game at London Stadium of the new season, beating Chelsea by 3-1, and that despite having Agard sent off, having scored one of those goals for West Ham. That means one forced change for West Ham this afternoon. Agard serving his suspension, and so Ogbonna starts in the defence. The other change for West Ham from the side that started against Chelsea last weekend is that Alvarez makes his first Premier League start for his new side. Saïd Benrahma is the player who drops to the bench. There is a debutante in the Brighton side, and it is a goalkeeper. Bart Verbruggen makes his debut, having joined the club in the summer. One of the new signings. Jason Steele had played in the games against Luton and Wolves, but Bart Verbruggen, formerly of Anderlecht, starts in goal for this one, and a forced change in the outfield, and Ciso getting an injury in training. He is a long-term injury for Brighton, and so Evan Ferguson starts, although we may have been expecting that from the talented young Irishman. He will be up front for the home side. Your referee is Anthony Taylor. The referee is actually stood in a little bit of sunshine that still bathes a part of this pitch at the moment. Hey Jude rings out, and as it disappears, we get underway here. West Ham kicking from right to left in this first half, but Matoma with an eager run already down the home side's left-hand side. So Areola continues in goal for West Ham. Emerson, Ogbonna, Zuma and Soufal making up the defence. We think it's possibly Souček, Simon Bassi, on his own. Do we think it's a 4-1?
Yeah, it looks like
we're just trying to work out,
Ward-Prowse and Alvarez and Paqueta off the left-hand side.
Yeah, Paqueta seems to be up front with Mikel Antonio, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We've got Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse in central midfield. So, and obviously Souček is one of those defensive players as well for the visitors. So we'll just wait to see exactly how they have set themselves up, but it certainly looks like Paqueta is right alongside Mikel Antonio up front for the
Well, I think Paqueta probably play off the left in a 4-3-3. Looks from where we are, Ward-Prowse, Alvarez playing as a centre defensive midfield player, with Ward-Prowse and Souček slightly in front, Paqueta off the left, Bowen off the right. And
they've got an early throw in here, West Ham. It was clipped on by the head of Zuma, and Paqueta was at the far post, and that almost paid off at West Ham in just the second minute of the game. Started with a throw in on the right hand side, and the West Ham captain Kurt Zuma made contact with his head to nod it on to Paqueta, whose strike went wide of the Brighton goal. 0-0 here.
Yeah, and they're going to be real opportunities, these long throws, set pieces for West Ham today. You know, just looking at the size of the two teams in the handshake, you know, West Ham far bigger, far more powerful. So all these long throw, set piece moments are going to be real pinnacle moments for them.
Verbruggen in goal for Brighton. James Milner, you might have heard of him. Lewis Dunk, the captain. Adam Webster and Purvis Estepinian making up the defence. Pascal Gross, Billy Gilmore and Danny Welbeck. Solly Marsh, who scored 3 goals already this season. Matoma and Evan Ferguson, who I've already mentioned, making up the starting 11 for Brighton this afternoon. Comes to James Milner. Only 2 players have played more Premier League goals than James Milner. who has collected trophies, of course, at places like Manchester City and Liverpool during his time as a player. But only Gareth Barry and Ryan Giggs have played more Premier League games than him, and they've both played well over 600 in their time. West Ham have a throw-in deep inside their own half that Emerson takes. Little turn from Ward-Prowse. Antonio tries to keep the ball in play, just about manages to do so, but then Lewis Dunk just leans into him, and the referee will come across and might want to have a word with the Brighton defender. He's his body language suggests that he doesn't quite understand what he's just done there, Simon Bassey.
Just eased him off the pitch, didn't
Yeah.
It's a real area that West Ham would look to exploit, with Brighton tend to build with two centre halves, and then they push it right back in the pitch, so these spaces down the side on the turnovers is a real area that West Ham can look to get in, and Antonio no bigger exposure than space to run into.
It did look as if he'd run out of pitch, didn't he, there for a moment? It looked as if...
Yeah, he just got them big, they look like they're size 12s, don't he? Just got a big size 12 on it just to keep it into play, but...
It means a free kick for West Ham, just a few inches in from this left-hand touchline, and as you would expect, James Ward-Prowse is the player behind
it.
it.
He's took 10 yards out of it, but his delivery is obviously sensational.
Right-footed cross from that free kick, and well, it's headed back away by a Brighton player, but I think the referee is gesturing to say that that's a free kick for the home side.
There was probably a block in there.
Anyway, 5 minutes played here at the Amex. Drove down to the south coast from London, and I think every sort of 5 minutes or so I was hitting a grey cloud, and we were listening to reports from the games that kicked off at 3 o'clock today in the capital, and it sounds as if there's been rain and thunderstorms everywhere, but above us now it is blue sky, a few fluffy white clouds, but there is some late Saturday sunshine here at the Amex, and it is goalless at the moment between these two sides. Brighton in their blue and white stripes, West Ham in their claret and blue, and two teams who are looking forward to finding out who they're going to be playing in the Europa League on Friday, as Matoba decides to pull down the West Ham player who was closest to him in Vladimir Soufal, and that might be a battle to keep an eye on today, I think, Simon Bassey.
Yeah, I mean, Matoma's been a top player since he came into the club, and a real threat. I watched a bit of him at Wolves last week on the TV, and constant threat in the game, and always looks like he's got a goal in him.
He scored a goal in that game, didn't he, which I saw described as Messi-esque.
Yeah.
Messi at his best. Paquetá finds Antonio. This is a chance straight at Zurbruggen. The right idea from Paquetá to find the run of Mikel Antonio, was racing into the 18-yard box, but straight at the Brighton debutant, and that'll sort of calm some of his nerves, I would imagine.
Yeah, nice, great ball from Paquetá, and just Antonio just on his weaker side, his left side, just drags it into the goalie's chest. But yeah, nice easy save for him, really.
Into the 6th minute of the game, goalless at the moment. Mikel Antonio, who scored against Chelsea, admitted that he was disappointed with his performance in the 1-1 draw at Bournemouth, which was West Ham's opening game of the season, and says that now he's got a goal, he thinks that, once you've got one, you sort of get on a bit of a run, which he's hoping will be the case for him. Yes. Cross comes out to Solly Marsh. Marsh for Brighton, pulls it onto his right boot, then it's clipped into the area just over Matoma by Gilmour, who I think knew that Matoma was probably in the spot that he was chipping that ball into. Comes back out to Gilmour again, now collected by Estepinian on Brighton's right, comes down to the red boots of Dunk, who rolls it across to Webster to his right hand side, out to Solly Marsh, who is just in brilliant goal scoring form at the moment. He's been really enjoying his time, I think, under Roberto De Zerbi, since
another one of these academy products from Brighton came through. I watched a lot of him in the 23s a few years ago. Really talented boy, and he's taken that form into his senior career now, and he's a real regular mainstay of the team now.
The run was by Estepinian, who carried on going, but Brighton choose to spread it out to Solly Marsh, and the pass out to him was expecting him to be maybe a foot or two taller than he actually was. He did try and leap for it, nevertheless.
I think he'd need to be 8'9" to get that one.
Means a throw-in. It's Emerson to take it in his left-back position. Just skims off the head of Paquetá, picked up by Pascal Gross in the Brighton defence. Comes back to Webster and Dunk, who just exchange passes. Those big central defenders for Brighton, who must know each other so well, which helps, I'm sure, with the confidence that they give the rest of their team. Back heel from Gross. The block is by Ogbonaru, who was closest to him. It'll go out for a Brighton throw-in, which James Milner will take. Quickly, well, almost came back to Milner. Ward-Prowse collects for West Ham. Solly Marsh is there, though, to regain possession for the home side. Into the 9th minute, 0-0 at the moment, but Mikel Antonio with the best chance so far of the match, but easily dealt with by Verbruggen in the Brighton goal. Now with Marsh, Paquetá just stands his ground. Marsh and Paquetá battling for it. Paquetá almost finds Mikel Antonio, but Milner's in between the two West Ham players. Now back with Antonio, and now he's running at Webster, and he'll keep going, still going Antonio. Might he cut it onto his right boot? And Brighton just about get the players back that they need. Estepinian is helping out defensively on this left-hand side. And it looked as if Mikel Antonio had plenty of time and space. Suddenly, Simon Bassi, he was smothered by Brighton players.
Yeah, I think if he'd just got his head up a little bit quicker, Bowen coming in at the back post was free. But, you know, we've seen already in this game, Brighton all the ball, West Ham 3 counter-attacks or 2 counter-attacks and a long throw, and they've had the 3 best opportunities. I think that's going to be the story of the game. West Ham just patient, mid to low block, and wait for the areas to open up, and if they can get Antonio, who's made for these, running these spaces.
Quick pass up to the run of James Milner. Coming across is Emerson. No nonsense clearance from the West Ham defender. James Milner, 37 years old now.
Yeah, brilliant professional.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think 17, he made his debut, 16, 17. To still be playing at the top level to the standard he is a testament to himself.
They've won themselves a corner, thanks largely to his determination, James Milner. Just having a word with Pascal Gross there. A new member of this Brighton side, but I'm sure he makes his voice heard. I'm sure he wasn't shy when it came to doing his initiation song and all that.
Yeah. He's probably done a few in his career, but speaking to people at Liverpool, the big attribute of his was off the pitch. Brilliant professional set standards around the training ground, and I'm sure he'll be a big help to these younger Brighton players.
Gross waits to take this corner for the home side. It's a right-footed out swinger. It's Souček who managed to get his head to it first. It's being chased by Ward-Prowse, but Estepinian manages to turn it back to his goalkeeper. Reminder of the Brighton players who've left this team over the course of the summer. They lost a World Cup winner in McAllister. They lost Caicedo for what looks like it's going to be an English record for how much he's going to cost Chelsea. Yeah. So those are the kind of players that Brighton have lost over the course of the summer, and yet they won their first 2 fixtures of this campaign by 4-1 against Luton and Wolves, admittedly, who I think a few people have got as among the favourites to get relegated at the end of this season, but nevertheless a very positive start to start this series of matches top of the Premier League table. Putting on the pressure as well, Brighton, and Solly Marsh was the player who's inside the 18-yard box, but West Ham expecting that and making sure there's plenty of players in claret and blue inside their penalty area.
I think so, and for West Ham, I think nothing through the team. Just we can force Brighton wide and deal with the crosses. West Ham set to deal with crosses. There's 2 big centre halves.
Ball comes from Milner out to Marsh. Marsh turns away from Paquetá. Ogbonna tried to leap and get his head to it. helping out was Zuma just behind him. Flicked away by Paquetá, now finds the head of Gross. And, well, Paquetá's gone down. He was holding onto his head. Emerson was
not much in
a
that.
player who had a decent view of that and comes across to have a conversation with the referee's assistant on this near side. Goalless here at the moment into the 13th minute. Mikel Antonio's had a decent chance, but Verbruggen just behind it. Brighton, though, are building up to a challenge themselves on the West Ham goal, but goalless as things stand. Picked up by Dunk. Dunk inside the centre circle. Most of the outfield players inside the West Ham half at the moment, as the sun does dip behind one of those clouds just above the Amex. David Moyes and Roberto De Zerbi both stood on the edge of their technical areas. David Moyes just pointing out a few things, then he turns to have a chat with his coaching staff about whatever's concerned him in the last couple of minutes. Ball comes to Dunk. Everybody except for Verbruggen now inside the West Ham half. Webster gets a touch inside the centre circle. The Brighton central defender flicks a ball out to the touch of Estepinian on the far side of the pitch. Comes infield to Danny Welbeck for a touch. Now with James Milner. Milner finds Gross, who's wide on the right hand side. Back to James Milner, who's in a central midfield position. Now it's with Gilmour. The referee gets in the way slightly of a pass to Welbeck and then steps back out of the way. Listening to Emma Hayes recently talk about a referee's position on a pitch, she basically said the referee is in the best place on the pitch at any time. So where the referee is, that's where you want to be, basically.
Yeah.
And the referee is very close to Billy Gilmour at the moment as he finds Danny Welbeck. Well, Brighton are just exchanging passes at the moment.
Yeah, patient from Brighton, just working the ball side to side. For West Ham, it's when they're ready to jump, because Brighton want them to jump so they can play into the 2-10s. You know, so it's going to have to be a real disciplined display by West Ham.
Comes to Gross, out to Estepinian. Estepinian will cut it back. This is a shot. Oh, and it's wide. It was pulled back to Billy Gilmour, just on the edge of the West Ham penalty area. And, well, Areola didn't flinch, really, because that wasn't on target. He wasn't forced to make a save. Came back to Gilmour. It might have, well, I was going to say it might have taken a deflection, but it obviously didn't, because it's ended up as a goal kick.
Yeah, clean strike, just zipped past the post, but there's 7 in the box, West Ham defending there, so just that little space on the outside of the penalty area for the cutback, but really clean strike. But it's going to be interesting for West Ham when they can get up to the ball and when they decide to.
Billy Gilmour, really exciting young player at Chelsea that everybody wondered if he would get his chance at Chelsea, which often isn't the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, came through and had some really good games for Chelsea, then had 2 pretty poor loans. Not until De Zerbi came in that he started getting some game time at Brighton, and he's done well. So a big season for him coming, as you say, losing McAllister. You know, big season for Gilmour to step up. He's certainly got the ability to. We've seen it on any international level.
Yes, Scottish international. Here it's with James Milner. Looks to make sure that his goalkeeper's going to get the pass back to him. Has to be controlled by the chest of Verbruggen to our left-hand side. And now it's at the boots of Dunk. Looks forwards, still in possession. Short pass to Estepinian and Gilmour. Antonio and Souček are watching on. Haven't said the Alvarez name very often yet, I have to say, Simon Bassett.
Playing as a single 6, he's they're popping up at either side of him, the Brighton boys. It's going to be a tough day for him.
He's not that far away from Kurt Zuma at the moment. In fact, as I find Alvarez on the pitch, he's forming a back 5 because Brighton are bursting forward again, and it's Jarrod Bowen who's helping out defensively. The Brighton fans feel that was a foul. The referee felt that was a fair challenge.
Yeah, I thought it was a good tackle. Good tackle. Just They're struggling at the moment, West Ham, when they do clear their lines. Antonio's on his own up there and everyone else is a long way from him. He just keeps coming back at the moment, but that's what Brighton do to you.
Marsh for Brighton on the right-hand side of midfield. Milner to Gilmore. Now with Webster. Webster just steps a few yards further forward before he finds Pascal Gross. De Zerbi, the more animated of the two managers at the moment, just in front of us.
That's standard from De Zerbi. He's a bit of a firecracker on the touchline, really demanding of what he wants from his players.
Ball flicked forward by Ward-Prowse, asking just a bit too much of Mikel Antonio. Webster gets there first, but still Antonio's persistence might well pay off. He'll square it. This could be a chance for Ward-Prowse, and West Ham score, and it's Ward-Prowse who gets on the score sheet for the Hammers. It was Mikel Antonio's determination that paid off. Ward-Prowse inches out, makes it Brighton 0, West Ham 1.
Yeah, and just as we said, waiting for the counter-attack and ball down the side. Webster don't deal with it, and Antonio, willing runner, powerful runner. And great.
There has been a goal and the cheers are from the away fans. It's the first goal in a West Ham shirt for James Ward-Prowse, thanks to the determination of Mikel Antonio to keep going. He then gave it to Ward-Prowse, just inches out. He could not miss. Brighton 0, West Ham 1. Well, we were expecting James Ward-Prowse. I suppose he's been bought for what he can do with a free kick, but get them in open play as well, Simon Bassey.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a real technician, isn't he? And his delivery from set pieces is going to be really a benefit for West Ham. But he's got goals in him, Ward-Prowse. We've seen that over the years at Southampton. Playing as he is today as an 8. In front of Alvarez, will give him licence to join in with Antonio, and they need that because Antonio's a long way from a lot of his team at times.
Well, I did thought that pass was asking far too much of Mikel Antonio. Yeah. Credit to him for actually chasing it.
The honesty to go after the ball. There is no deadline.
Here could be a chance. Ferguson turns, Areola pounces on it, while Brighton suddenly have plenty of players in and around the West Ham box. They found Ferguson, who spun really quickly, but when I say that stuck to Areola's gloves, it really did, didn't it?
Yeah, he didn't quite catch it as he'd want Ferguson, but as a young boy, I watched him at Brighton, and really lovely feet, lovely size. He's going to be a good player, and so just didn't catch it as he'd have liked on the turn there, but Areola held it well.
Alphonse Areola being selected ahead of Lucas Fabianski at the moment to play in these Premier League fixtures at the start of this new campaign. West Ham will of course have cup matches, the Europa League to look forward to as well. Flicked on by Estepinian. Matona's there, but the angle was tight and he was trying to volley it with his right boot, and I imagine among the other things that were challenging, I think he probably had the sun in his eyes.
A little bit of sun, probably the wrong technique from where he was receiving the ball there. Coming out the sun is never easy.
James Ward-Prowse, £30 million signing from Southampton in the summer. He scored 49 goals in 264 starts, 80 appearances off the bench for Southampton during his time there. 11 goals in all competitions for Southampton last season, but as we've already been saying, a lot of those coming from free kicks.
Yeah, but a good return for a team that got relegated. 11 goals from midfield's a really good return, so if we can replicate that at West Ham, they're going to have a good season.
If he scores one more free kick, he will have scored as many as David Beckham scores.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he was quite good with a set piece. Header forward from Souček. 1-0 to West Ham. It's Bowen who turns. Bowen who tries to find Antonio. Several Brighton players in between the two West Ham players, and Dunk gets there first. Bowen though collects again and looks forward to Antonio. Now it's with Soufal. Soufal running down the right hand side. Soufal's cross in. Milner gets his head to it. West Ham are trying to put it back into the Brighton box. Well, immediately after West Ham scored, Brighton threatened to equalise. That's often the case, isn't it? You're vulnerable just after you've scored a goal.
You know,
but now West Ham, you think, Simon Bassey, are kind of getting the confidence that comes with being 1-0 up.
Absolutely, you know. I think if any team's prepared to play like this, it's West Ham. A lot of their European games, they play without the ball. You know, they stay in, they're low block. You know, Brighton love to control the possession. That'll suit West Ham. West Ham won't be fazed by that. And you've just seen they've had 3 really good opportunities on the counter-attack.
The head-to-heads between these two sides, well, it's not in West Ham's favour, put it that way.
They've not won in 12 or something.
Well,
like
they haven't won in the Premier League, so we're talking about the start of the Premier League.
Yeah.
West Ham have not won against Brighton. Brighton have won the last 3 meetings between the two sides. Didn't concede a goal against West Ham in the 2 league meetings against them last season. They are a bogey team, even if David Moyes doesn't want to be reminded of that. Billy Gilmour is down here.
Yeah, strong tackle, but...
And there was a challenge on him. He's got the card out, hasn't he? And so there is a booking, and, well, it was Gilmour who was on the ball, and the player who scored the goal for West Ham, James Ward-Prowse, is now in the referee's book, a yellow card. And you think that was do you think that was a booking, Simon?
You're asking... when you go to ground, the ball was between teams. When you go to ground like Ward-Prowse did, you're always asking the referee a question, and normally these days especially they go with a yellow card.
Well, we've seen so many bookings already at the start of this season, with all the new ways in which the referees are sort of enforcing rules about the time it takes for throw-ins and goal kicks, and if the ball gets kicked away after a free kick's been awarded. So I think we're expecting certainly
we're going to see a lot of games finishing with
lots of sendings off.
Not 11v11.
It is a free kick for Brighton, but it is, well, I would say probably 40 yards away from the West Ham goal. Pascal Gross just rolls it ever so slightly further forwards and gives it out to Billy Gilmour. Gross gets the ball back, now comes out to Estepinian, comes in, flicks away off the head of Dunk, who was up there from that free kick. Now it comes back to Gross, who gives it back to Verbruggen in the Brighton goal. 1-0 to West Ham, 25 minutes played here at the Amex. James Ward-Prowse with his first goal for West Ham.
There's the right back Milner for Brighton running in the inside left channel. It's just the stuff the Derby does.
Here it's with Gilmour pinballing around inside the West Ham box, and Solly Marsh just shepherds it out, makes sure that it goes out for another corner for the home side. Yeah,
they ask you a lot of questions, Brighton. Paquetá's just got to stay switched on with check these runners, because they come from everywhere. So real high level of communication needed.
Gross waits to take another corner in the shades of this right-hand side. Right-footed outswinger, and it was Ogbonna who made contact with it first to get the clearance. Estepinian holds it up on Brighton's left-hand side, rolls it a little further out to that wing, and Matoma with a low ball in, and Souček in front of his goalkeeper, and well, I think he's now looking to say, I didn't get a shout from you to tell me that you had that covered.
Big call,
and
he can leave that.
It was his touch that takes it out, another corner for the hosts.
But interesting, West Ham defend zonal on the corner kicks, go from zonal marking to man marking once the big ball becomes live. We have to defend the second phases.
Gross takes a short corner, gives it to Solly Marsh, and then gets it back. Pinging around again in a dangerous position for West Ham. It's Antonio who is at close range to block a shot from Marsh. Now Gross in between Emerson and Jarrod Bowen, who for a moment is on the left-hand side of the West Ham midfield. And now the quickly taken throw-in by Gross, played to Gilmour and across to Dunk. Dunk finds Estepinian. Heading towards the half-hour mark here at the Amex. West Ham leading Brighton by a 1-0 thanks to James Ward-Prowse. Not a free kick, A pass from Mikel Antonio that found him inches out. Saw a replay that I think Verbruggen just about got a glove to it, but just
glove
couldn't
to the
do
first
enough.
one, I thought, and then just fell nicely back to Ward-Prowse's feet. So won't get any easier ones than that, I don't think.
Ball forward to Ferguson, back to the West Ham goal. Now with Gross. Gross looking for Matoma. Soufal gets there first. Brighton fans felt that I think he got a little bit of leverage on a Brighton player in order to leap high enough to make contact with that cross. West Ham having to do some defending at the moment.
Yeah.
Ball with Webster. Again, the intended target is Matoma, who's found. Tries to cut it back. Ferguson is there. This could be a chance. Gilmour gets the shots.
Great block.
And there's another block, and I think that was Ward-Prowse who was in front of that block.
Brilliant block.
Now it's with Marsh. Marsh getting away from Emerson. Gives it to Gilmour. Gilmour finds it's a scorpion kick from Ferguson that ends up just going over the crossbar. Brighton are building up to getting an equaliser here, Simon
getting
Bassey.
a real head of steam up. As I say, Antonio at times can seem isolated, but the way they play Brighton, they get you all back into your penalty box, and they circle the outside of it well, get really high width in their team.
Well, Ward-Prowse is man of the match at the moment. He's scored a goal, he's gone into the referee's book, but that block from Gilmour, that had some power on it, I thought.
I think goal if you don't get in the way of it, and it was a brilliant block, and they're going to need to do that. You see how the game's panning out. You know, the defenders, certainly the midfield players, are going to have to dig in and get a lot of blocks on the edge of the box, as Brighton get you back in and they get to the byline, they want to cut it back for these areas, so you have to be really switched on.
15 minutes before half-time, 1-0 to West Ham. Few of the players who might be called off the bench have just done a little bit of warming up. Danny Ings among those, as the ball is played forward to be chased by Danny Welbeck. Welbeck cuts it back to Matoma. Matoma can see Gross, Ferguson, Marsh all inside the 18-yard box. Comes back to Welbeck again. West Ham trying to form a wall. Gross might find a way through. Manages to pick out Ferguson. Good recovery to find Zuma, and away by the West Ham captain. Brighton are trying to just find a little chink of light in that West Ham defence at the moment.
Absolutely, maximum width, March, Matoma, and then everyone's so fluid in behind them.
Ball comes back to Milner. Milner right hand side of midfield. Little touch from Webster. Dunk to Estepinian. Brighton defence just holding on to the ball at the moment, looking for options a little bit higher up the pitch. Ball is found by Gross. Ferguson is dispossessed by Alcaraz, and as West Ham try and break forward, in fact Paquetá is the player who's gone down again, helped back to his feet by Alcaraz, and the ball is back in the possession of West Ham. Far enough into their own half that it'll be Areola that takes this free kick.
Yeah, nice deep breath for West Ham now, just get back in, get recomposed. He's a really nice size, Alcaraz. First time I've seen him in the flesh. Looks built for the Premier League, looks powerful.
Mexican international, he's joined from Ajax. He is, as Emerson here is the latest player to go down. I think James Milner might have been the other player involved in that coming together between two players. And it's James Milner who walks away first, and the medical staff are going to come and have a look at Emerson.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. I think they just bang knees. Just make sure he gets a free kick. But great opportunity for West Ham there. Lovely position for Ward-Prowse to swing it in. And as we said, real threat, Souček or Bonner.
Emerson's leg was just in the air, wasn't it, as he made contact with Milner, and he's wincing in a way that lets you know how much that hurts.
Yeah. He'll be all right.
Another free kick for Ward-Prowse to take, but not again in a goal-scoring position.
No, not for from the
wide on
first
the
phase,
left.
but a beautiful area for him to land that in. He can really fade them in there. Matoma's got a big job in that front zone. You know, I'd probably like him a couple of yards deeper if I'm honest, but big presence from West Ham, so real good opportunity.
Ward-Prowse takes the free kick, punched away by Zurbruggen, and I think he's punched a West Ham player, and quickly there is an urgency to get the medical staff
Souček,
on.
Souček
and
was really close.
Souček who was close to the
heading
Brighton
it in,
goalkeeper.
and the goalie's been nice and brave and came out, and as you'd want your goalie to do, he's cleared the lot, and unfortunately for Souček, he's looks like he caught one in the face.
So Ward-Prowse with the free kick, Zurbruggen coming out to punch it away, and as he did so made contact with the West Ham midfielder, and very quickly the players who were around Souček, including the Brighton goalkeeper, were calling for the medical staff to come on.
Yeah, and pretty clear.
They will check on him. Obviously there'll be concerns about his neck as well as his head, any concussion of course that he might have suffered.
He's brave, Souček. You know, you watch him over time, he puts his head in where other people wouldn't put their feet, and certainly when there's a goal at the end of it, and he's took a nasty one there, so hopefully he can get up and he's all right.
It gives the rest of the players a chance to come across, get some hydration, also get some instructions from the coaching staff.
Yeah, you wouldn't want Souček to go off West Ham.
But the bad side, it's not a good sign, is it, that we've seen the medical team come out just in front of us, and they've got the stretcher ready to go.
Yeah, so I think it must be concussion, must be knocked out. Or
there has been very little movement from Thomas Souček.
Yeah, he looked like he tried to get up straight away and then put his head back down.
Very quickly went back down.
Yeah.
Well, the referee is standing close to him. The Brighton goalkeeper is there as well. He sat up, which is very good news, and now he's being helped back to his feet. But whether or not he'll actually be allowed to continue is another question.
We see it last week with Romeo, the Tottenham defender. You know, wanted to carry on, but the manager got him off. But he doesn't. He looks like he's more got a. Just shook him up, Souček. He's stretching his back out. So hopefully he'll be all right to carry on.
Well, the good news is the stretcher will not be required. The question is whether or not.
No, I think he's making a sub.
West Ham will be happy.
He's called back.
Ben Rama's the player who's coming on. So I think that's it for Souček for the afternoon. In helping to. Well, in trying to make contact with that Ward-Prowse free kick, he ended up making contact with the gloves.
It's certainly not a change David Moyes would have liked to have made, you know.
Of the Brighton goalkeeper, yeah. And
Souček more defensively aware, and obviously a threat from set pieces, and Ben Rama, technical player, probably not as defensive minded.
Well, we've got 10 minutes until half time, and West Ham forced to make the change following that injury to Souček.
Yeah,
at the moment they've got,
he looks like he wants to carry on.
They've got 10 men
Souček,
on the pitch at the moment. He don't look entirely comfortable.
I think they're just telling him his game's done.
Ball out to March. Brighton in the West Ham half. Ben Rama getting some quick instructions before he comes on. West Ham with 10 men on the pitch at the moment, leading by a 0-0 here. 37 minutes on the clock.
I'd like to get this ball out of play, West Ham, as quick as possible, because they want to play Brighton with 10 men.
Ball finds Milner. Paquetá gets in the way of his pass. Gross
still in,
keeps the ball in play, and so Ben Rama not able to come on just yet. Brighton on the attack and with a man advantage at the moment. Gross with a pass that Gilmour steps out of the way of so it can find Dunk. Back in field to Gilmour again. Brighton holding onto the ball as Dunk rolls it a few more inches forward before squaring it to Gross to his right. Out to Milner, wider on the right flank for the hosts, and then it goes back to the goalkeeper, touches it with his boots. He's very far out of his penalty area. Infield to Gilmore, still instructions for Ben Rama, not a chance for him to come on just yet. Brighton have it with Milner on the right hand edge of the West Ham box. Gross then plays it back infield to Webster. West Ham fans singing behind the Areola goal. Picked up by Marsh. Marsh curls it back to Milner. The block is by Emerson. That'll take it out for a Brighton corner, and this will be the chance for Ben Rama to come on.
Trying to get some information on Kevin Nolan and David Moyes just to probably alter the set pieces.
Has he not scribbled a note that he's stuck in Ben Rama's sock? Isn't that the way that it's done these days?
I wouldn't imagine Ben Rama's doing the same job Souček was. So.
Oh no, I'm just thinking about the other players that he might want to give a few instructions to.
Yeah.
Just pass on a frantically scribbled notes about what they want to do. Souček off, Ben Rama on. The Gross corner doesn't come to anything.
No, good job,
dangerous
front
for West Ham.
Zone there for West Ham.
Now picked up by Matoma. Matoma running at Ward-Prowse. He finds Ferguson, the Brighton player. Comes back to Welbeck. Solly Marsh is trying to dip to get there. Good defending, from Alcaraz, who prevents Solly Marsh from getting his 4th goal of the season.
Yeah, brilliant defending. You know, West Ham got pulled about a bit there, and ended up Emerson ends up in the centre-half position and makes a great header.
Yeah, it was Emerson, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he was the last man to make sure he was there first.
Yeah, he done a great job because Mark scores.
Well, I'll say there are 5 minutes of the first half left to go, but there was that lengthy treatment to Thomas Souček before he was forced off the pitch, so we'll expect to see some added on time at the end of this first half.
Yeah.
Ball is with Gross.
And just looks like West Ham have moved Paquetá in the field a little bit, and Ben Rama's come to play on this left-hand side. So 4-1-4-1 if you like.
Now with Gilmore to Gross. Gross shoots through bodies. Areola manages to collect at the second attempt. Yeah, so Mikel Antonio a little bit lonely up front.
As a lone 9, Ben Rama and Bowen trying to get to him as often as they can, but so Brighton force you back so often.
Comes forward to Ben Rama. Marsh and Emerson.
Yeah, just a little block off the ball.
Yeah, slip over collectively off the pitch. Blow of the whistle from Anthony.
Suit West Ham, you know, with not long to go, 5 minutes to go to the half time. Just take the sting out of the game a little bit.
West Ham have got a free kick, but the referee was just being a bit specific about exactly where I think Bonner was going to take that.
Try to take his time a little bit, but
comes down to Ben Rama. Ben Rama on this left-hand side for West Ham. Gives it back to Paquetá. Now with Ben Rama again. He's trying to get away from the Brighton player around him. It's Ferguson who's fouled by Alcaraz, and the applause from the Brighton fans is because I think they feel that a few decisions have not gone their way in this first half.
Yeah, I think every football fan feels that way, don't they?
Just hard done by Gilmore. Back heel to Dunk. Dunk might see that Milner's in a bit of space on Brighton's right. Webster.
See, they build Brighton, they build with 2 centre halves and then 2 full-backs and a midfield player in front, and then 5 on the attacking line, so they get real good options high up the pitch.
Yeah, they've got a lot of players up there at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, they just force West Ham.
Gilmore finds Estepinian.
Oh, it's a slash clearance.
Alcaraz tried to clear it. Areola manages just about to get to it. As you say, he sort of
almost
he tried to clear, and instead it spun backwards towards the West Ham goalkeeper, leading to some oohs and ahs from inside the Amex. 42 minutes have been played. West Ham are leading Brighton by 1-0 on BBC Radio London and on the BBC Sport websites. James Ward-Prowse with his first goal since joining from Southampton. Ball comes to Milner for Brighton, out to Solly Marsh, who steps away from the attentions of Emerson into a central midfield position. Antonio tries to block the pass from Marsh to Webster, might find its way to Matoma. Marsh was there as well, and that time it most definitely was Alcaraz who was the important player for West Ham at the back, Simon Bassey.
I think he nearly got caught out. He thought he had more time than he did, and then a lovely little turn to get himself out of trouble in his own 18-yard box. But they're the balls that West Ham have got to stop, the straight ones that go through you. You know, if they can force them wide, you'd fancy West Ham to deal with the crosses.
Doing a lot of defending at the moment, West Ham, but there might be a chance for them to break with Ben Rama. Ben Rama on a run, still racing forward, Ben Rama. Now it's Emerson who's helping in support, plays the ball out off Milner. West Ham have got a corner, which is something I have not said in this first half.
No, first one. I think they'll take their time with this one, hopefully.
They can't take too long, just to remind you, Simon.
As much time as legally allowed, should we say.
44 minutes have been played of this first half. We will see several minutes, I'm sure, of added on time when the fourth official raises his board. But West Ham have a corner. Curled in, well, cleared at the near post.
They try to score, Ward-Prowse there. But just Paquetá on that front post just comes short to try to drag that front zone out. And
yeah, Ward-Prowse was trying to score straight from the corner, wasn't he?
He's certainly got the technical ability to do so.
He might have another chance, another corner for him to take. Again to the left-hand side of the Brighton box. And again, it's cleared at the near post.
Ferguson, yeah. Like London buses, these corners, though.
Well, yeah. It's almost as if James Milner's been watching James Ward-Prowse over the years, isn't it? Right, what's he going to do with this one? Another corner to be taken. Third in succession. This one does find its way a little bit further than the near post, but straight at the Brighton goalkeeper.
What you don't want is the goalie to catch it. But now back defending West Ham.
Well, we played the first 45 minutes, so waiting to find out how much more time will be added, largely due to the Thomas Souček injury, and 4 minutes have been shown by the fourth official as a cross from Milner is just taken away from Danny Welbeck. Solly Marsh will collect, and West Ham just form a big line in support of Areola. Now Danny Welbeck goes down, and I think he's won Brighton a free kick inside the D, and the referee is showing a yellow card to Alvarez. Yep,
just that one that got behind him. He had to recover. Never great when you recover defending on towards the edge of your box. He's just had a bite at Welbeck there.
Well, if this was at the other end of the pitch, I would guarantee you that Ward-Prowse would be stood behind it. That's the kind of territory we're in.
Absolutely.
So, Alvarez in the book.
Solly March has got hold of the ball at the moment.
And Pascal Gross can take a decent set piece. Areola is sorting out the players who are lining up in front of him, but there are some blue and white shirts among the claret and blue ones. James Milner is one of those in conversation.
Yeah, they're just getting the wall back now.
Well, there are about 6 Brighton players standing around this free kick at the moment. Which of those players will take it? Danny Welbeck is still there. Ferguson has walked away. Lewis Dunk is still standing there. The referee has produced the magic spray to tell the West Ham players where to stand, and there is a draft excluder behind that wall as well.
Yeah, they've got a big wall, West Ham.
There is a player lying down behind the wall. This free kick is really square on the Areola goal, maybe just slightly to the left of centre.
Be interesting whether they move it, Brighton shift it to shoot.
It is taken by Marsh in the end after what felt like forever, and it takes a block off the West Ham wall that does its job. And I think the player who was down behind the wall also did his job, because he might well have it wasn't a ball that hit him, I think, Alvarez. I think maybe one of his teammates just stood back. Maybe he got a boot. Blocked out for another corner for Brighton. Their 5th of this first half with not too long to go. Pascal Gross only finds Paquetá at the near post.
Yeah, the second one he's headed away, Paquetá, but the delivery's got to be better from Gross.
So 3 minutes of added on time have been and gone. Not long to go before the half-time whistle goes. Will West Ham go in with a 1-goal lead here at the Amex? James Ward-Prowse's goal.
Just a loose pass from Gilmour there. Done a great job, West Ham there. As a defensive three, Soufal, Bowen and Ward-Prowse. As soon as it got switched out to Matoma, they were outnumbered him and give him nowhere to go.
Seconds left to go before both managers can spend a bit more time with their players in the dressing room and plan for the second half here. Zuma stopping Danny Welbeck in his path.
That might have been a West Ham
but
throw
Brighton
there.
have won another corner.
Yeah, I thought that was a West Ham throw. I just thought it came off for the Brighton
I thought
defender.
it came off Welbeck.
So did David Moyes by the looks of it. But yeah.
Well, they're going to try a different corner taker this time. Pascal Gross has been taking them, but this is going to be a chance for Solly Marsh to do something different with his left boot.
Yeah, in-swinger.
So an in-swinger from Marsh. Headed away by Antonio. Might come back in. Paquetá gets there, is able to turn and clear it almost to halfway. And Anthony Taylor says that will do for the first half here at the Amex. And as the two sets of players head down into the dressing room, it is West Ham who have the lead, thanks largely to some real determination by Mikel Antonio to chase what looked like a pass that was going absolutely nowhere. He managed to carry on going, played the pass forward to the run of Ward-Prowse, just inches out to get his first goal in a West Ham shirt. Then though, with a West Ham corner delivered looking like it might be finding Thomas Souček, Verbruggen was there to punch it away and also made contact with the West Ham midfielder, who after a medical check had to be taken off to be replaced by Said Ben Rama. So the bad news for West Ham in this first half, that they've been forced to make a change to a player like Thomas Souček. But the good news, Simon Bassey, is they are 1-0 up here against Brighton. Yeah,
and I'm sure they'd be really happy with it. I think the game panned out pretty much as David Moyes would expect it. You know, more possession from Brighton. West Ham looking to hit them on the break and be a threat from set pieces, and they've done that. Probably, in all honesty, had the 2 or 3 best opportunities of the game. So, yeah, he'll be really happy with how it's gone so far.
It feels like West Ham have kept what we're expecting to be the Brighton threat. It's very quiet so far.
Yeah, they've done well, work back, certainly on the right-hand side, surrounding Matoma. They've got numbers around him, so just limiting the 1v1 opportunities he's got. And on this side, Paquetá, before he went into the middle, worked really hard to get back and add the numbers on the defensive line, because Brighton really going to cause you problems, and just got to make sure they fill that second 6-yard box, so to speak. We've had the one that Gilmour got cut back to Gilmour that he just drove wide of the post. So they're the areas that Brighton, I'm sure, will look to exploit in the second half.
Thank you, Simon. Second half commentary to come. Phil Parry might well want to have a chat with you in a moment as well, Simon, about what we've witnessed here in the first half at the Amex. We will hand you back to the G-Tech Stadium with it at half-time here at the Amex. Brighton 0, West Ham 1.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
Simon Bassey and Emma Jones, the Amex. Very quickly, before you get your half-time libation or refreshment, the statistics are extraordinary. 84% possession for Brighton, but they've only had the same number of shots on target as West Ham, and obviously the Hammers have scored one of theirs. So they say possession is 9/10 of the law. Not in football, is it?
Well, Brighton, we knew the game before that Brighton are going to dominate the ball, and West Ham are probably the best team in the Premiership. We were happy to defend without the ball, and David Moyes has done it loads of times over his career, just sat in and waited, and the goal that they scored was perfect. Sat, waited, forced a mistake. Antonio willing runner, and Ward-Prowse is in there to finish. And so all the possession Brighton have had, the best 2 chances have probably come to West Ham.
Yeah. As you say, I mean, David Moyes structures them really, really well, doesn't he? And you know what you're going to get. He did it against Chelsea. Very difficult to break down. And credit to Mikel Antonio. He may not be the perfect player. No one's perfect. But what he offers in the Moyes system really suits it.
Yeah, he's perfect for that outlet. Willing runner. He's played in between the 2 centre-backs, Duncan, Webster, and anything that's been put down the sides, he's gone after it. He had a good opportunity where Paquetá got him in early, where probably on his other side, on his stronger right side, he scores. But for the goal, willing runner, forced a mistake from Webster and was there to assist Ward-Prowse.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. Emma Jones back with Simon and Emma shortly for second half commentary.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
So, Saturday Sport, BBC Radio London. Gary Crowley right now on 94.9 FM. At 8, it's Jess is at with BBC Introducing. We'll join Gary here on DAB Digital Radio at the conclusion of events at the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton Hove Albion against West Ham United, who've seen Thomas Souček having to be taken off after an injury in that first half, but do have the lead at the break, thanks to James Ward-Prowse, who got a couple of assists last week. Good investment then, with more signings to come, you would have thought, for West Ham this week. Let's go back to our commentary team on the south coast. I don't know what the weather's like. It's beautiful here in West London. It's always lovely, isn't it, down at Brighton? Certainly has been shining to a certain extent for David Moyes and West Ham United. Are they going to break this jinx, Emma Jones and Simon Bassey? Is this not going to be a bogey anymore?
Let's wait and find out. The 2 sets of players are just about ready to get the second half underway. And as things stand, it is West Ham who lead Brighton by 1-0, thanks to James Ward-Prowse. No changes that I can see to either side at the break, but that forced change that West Ham had to make due to that injury to Thomas Souček in the first half to bring on Said Benrahma. So Areola in goal, Emerson Ogbonna, Zuma the captain, and Soufal at the back. And then Alvarez sort of sat in front of them, Simon Bassey. That's what we were seeing in the first half. Then a 4 in front of that, and then Mikel Antonio at the front of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Benrahma, Paquetá, Ward-Prowse and Bowen. Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Zerbi's a smart guy, really intelligent coach. What he's seen first half to work the goal a little bit more, because for all that possession, they didn't really have a big save to make, Areola.
There were a few shots on target. I think Phil was saying that the possession stats were very much in Brighton's favour, and they're on the ball now with Matoma. Matoma flicks it, it's headed down, while Ferguson was the player who was closest to that. And Brighton really starting this second half on the front foot, as you would expect, Simon Bassey.
Yeah, got it out to Matoma.
Well, this is interesting. The sort of setup here at the Amex now is that our commentary position is sort of very near to some of the supporters who've come back a little bit late at the start of this second half. And so let's put it this way, our view of what just happened was decidedly limited, but I can definitely tell you that Ferguson had a header that was saved by Areola just seconds after Simon Bassey had said that Areola hadn't had a save to make.
Yeah, got it.
And I think he might have had a second. I think actually it looks like what we didn't see, I think a West Ham defender might have actually headed it back to Areola the second time. Right. I think there was a sort of confident header back to the West Ham goalkeeper. However, we know that he's going to be busier in the second half.
He's certainly going to be busier in the second half. They got that out to Matoma. He said in the first half he hadn't had many 1v1 opportunities. Now they've got it, trying to do that again, but Soufal intercepts that one. If you get it out to him 1v1, he's a real problem.
Verbruggen in goal for Brighton, making his debut today. The Brighton goalkeeper might be forced to make a save from Mikel Antonio here. Antonio able to collect the ball on the right-hand side. Little back heel to pick up Paquetá. Tried to play it forward to Jared Bowen. But now it's with Ferguson. Quick block by Ward-Prowse in the midfield for West Ham. Comes to Gross though. Gross forward to Welbeck. Welbeck races away and releases a shot that took a deflection on its way out. Brighton
West Ham
have got themselves another corner.
West Ham won't want that open, you know. They get Antonio in down the side again. Brilliant run. And then they just turn the ball over too quick and Brighton are back at them.
Well, the home fans have been encouraged by what they've seen in the last few minutes. It's a corner for Brighton, who had so many in the first half that they didn't do a great deal with. Tried both Pascal Gross and Solly Marsh. Comes to Matoma. Matoma controlled it with his chest with the first touch, and then a right-footed strike that ends up in about not Rose Ed, but close to it.
Close to it, you know. First corner they've had from that side where Gross is taking it as an in-swinger, and Matoma's come off the back of the zonal marking and found himself free. Good first touch, but you'd expect him to hit the target from there.
So for Bruggen in goal, James Milner, Lewis Dunk, the captain, Adam Webster and Purvis Estepinian in defence for Brighton. Pascal Gross, Billy Gilmore in midfield, Solly Marsh and Matoma on the wings, Danny Welbeck supporting Evan Ferguson up front. No changes made by Brighton yet. We're not sure if Thomas Souček was suffered concussion. If he did, that means that both teams can now make 6 substitutions.
That's correct, yeah.
So it could get fun if the managers decide to accept that challenge. I'd rather hope they don't. 1-0 to West Ham at the moment, thanks to Ward-Prowse. Phil was asking if the weather was nice here. There is still a little bit of sun that's bathing the fans in the opposite stand from us.
Yeah, it's always
largely in shade
from us,
here.
I'm afraid.
As a cross comes in, let's hope nothing interesting happens, because there are 5 people stood up in front of us. And it picks up Matoma and then Gilmore. Gilmore just on the edge of the D for Brighton. Rolled forward by Milner. Gross might collect again. Ends up going out of play. In fact, I think it was a
just
cross
kept it
that
in, I think. Just
is
did a cross.
Smothered by Areola.
Read it well, Areola, as his near post.
Well, it wasn't on target from Gross, but Areola would not have known which Brighton players were near to it. Here, this could be another opportunity. Welbeck doesn't go for the shot himself, aware that Estepinia's racing forward. Paquetá just leans in to the Ecuadorian. The Brighton fans has won a calling for a penalty. Anthony Taylor has given absolutely nothing. Just a reminder, VAR will look at that.
Yeah.
If Anthony Taylor's made the wrong decision,
the game's officially gone.
Yeah.
You know, strong shoulder barge. Estepinia's lent into Paquetá.
Well, it's a clearance that is picked up by Matoma and now Ferguson. Real positivity from Brighton. Comes back for a chance from Gross.
Bringing it on themselves, West Ham. They've had 2 goal kicks, tried to play out both times, lost the possession and are now suffering some real heavy pressure from Brighton.
Now Dunk's up from the back. Gross is there. Pings out a playoff.
You're looking at West Ham's team, 2 centre halves, and I'm not sure they're built to play out. Brighton are going right.
Really quick corner as well.
Full press from the goal kicks, and advisable for West Ham to play over it a little bit.
Matoma cleared by Ogbonna. No Aged for this one. Of course, got a goal and also got sent off in the win against Chelsea last weekend for West Ham. West Ham, who started the season with a 1-1 draw at Bournemouth, having taken the lead there through Jared Bowen. Brighton coming into this game having put 4 past both Luton and Wolves in their first 2 games of this season, but they haven't scored past West Ham yet in this 5:30 kickoff. 8 minutes of the second half have been played. Comes in field to Gilmore, up to Welbeck, sliding in on him was Zuma. Good challenge again, says the referee. Now it's with Ben Rama, who's in the central midfield position, forward to Bowen. Bowen rolling it in. Bowen tried to curl it, and it actually ended up curling away from the Brighton goal, with Lewis Dunk just putting just a little bit too much pressure on Bowen. I think just slightly putting off.
I think as Bowen tried to check inside on his left foot, just clipped off a Dunk's heel, it sat up, and then Bowen's taking the shot, but probably was just going against him, the angle.
David Moyes wanting a word with Vladimir Soufal. The fourth official is telling David Moyes off now.
Yeah.
Soufal makes sure he gets in front of a pass to Matona, gives it back to Areola, quickly back into midfield. Well, this is frantic stuff at the start of this second half. We played 9 minutes, and I don't think the ball has been still for any of that. Even when a team's been awarded a free kick or a corner, they've taken it instantly.
Yeah, spot on play by Brighton, trying to not let West Ham get set up so they can find the gap.
Ball with Gilmore.
You probably, you say from the first half of all that possession, probably just a little bit of speed in their play that they was lacking.
I think some of that possession was what we're seeing now, which is passes from Dunk to Webster.
Yeah, you look now, I mean, all 20 players were in the final 40 yards of West Ham's half. Brighton really stepped on.
Forward to Dunk. Every outfield player inside the West Ham half. Milner on a run, tries to go on the overlap. Ben Rama's across to stop the pass from Marsh.
This system seems to increase the tempo of the game as well. You know, another change that's come in this year. As soon as the ball goes out, the ball boy throws another one, and the play continues, and that's Brighton will suit Brighton's second half certainly.
To Matoma, Estepinian's in front of him. Back to the Japanese international. Now it's a cross into the box on this left-hand side, but Zuma makes sure drops back to his goalkeeper. Again, the Brighton fans, I think they felt that was a ball that Areola shouldn't have picked up with his hands.
It just come off the side of his foot. But you see the intent from Brighton. That's Lewis Dunk, the left centre half, crossing that in 30 yards from the Brighton goal. That's it. How far they've squeezed up.
Antonio. Estepinian gets in between him and Bowen, picks it back up for Brighton. Now with Dunk, he turns it back to Verbruggen.
West Ham, they're turning the ball over too quickly, not getting themselves a chance, and Brighton are straight back at them if they can just maintain possession for a pass or two, get them a foothold in the game. So at the moment, there you go.
10 minutes into this second half, West Ham still leading by the James Ward-Prowse goal in the first half here at the Amex against Brighton. Here, Mikel Antonio is fouled. He's awarded a free kick.
Yeah.
The home supports, unsurprisingly, not agreeing with the decision to give the ball to West Ham. Ward-Prowse quickly takes it. Now it's with Emerson. Well, Emerson had raced into the Brighton box and from about 7 yards out, struck it with his left boot into the West Ham fans behind the Brighton goal in this second half.
Yeah, I think Brighton protesting about the free kick, and West Ham put it down and played. And with West Ham, you'd expect them to take their time and set it up, but they never. They really went for it.
Really speedy in
Both
this
teams
second half.
The second half, yeah. And I'm not sure it's advisable for West Ham.
Dunk forward to Estepinian. Soufal is going to try and stop the cross. Does find its way to Gilmore. Gilmore squares the ball out to the right-hand side of the West Ham box. Gross attempts a backheel to Ferguson. Still the danger not away. Maybe another opportunity to cross from the right-hand side, slightly too casual, and this will give the ball back to West Ham. And Ben Rama trying to break here. Webster attempting to prevent Ben Rama. Still he goes forward. Ben Rama hoping to find Bowen. Might be cut back for Paquetá. Paquetá's there, he controls it. Well, wonderful control. The strike is on target, but Verbruggen was behind it though. What a goal that would have been.
Yeah, I think probably the wrong decision. I think Paquetá probably should have left it for Ward-Prowse coming onto it. It was just a little bit behind him as it come back, and probably didn't get as much power as he wanted, but Ward-Prowse coming onto it would have been a real opportunity. But brilliant play by Ben Rama. But
now
again,
with Matoma, Brighton at the other end, into the West Ham box, laid off for Gilmore forward, pinging about, block is by Ogbonna, comes out to Antonio. Well, Brighton are playing dangerously here because West Ham can break, and they will with Ben Rama. He's got no support at the moment. He's holding up the ball, or he'll have to go alone.
Bowen's on
Bowen
post.
and Ward-Prowse are coming forward. The pass is to Bowen.
What a goal.
Bowen
What a
puts
goal.
it in, and what a wonderful
Brilliant goal.
second goal. Ben
Brilliant
Rama
first touch.
raced forward, waited to put the cross in for Jared Bowen, and the Hammers extend their lead here at the Amex. Will Brighton be the bogey team for much longer? Brighton 0, West Ham 2.
Yeah, brilliant goal. Again, another counter-attack. You know, got in down that left-hand side, West Ham's left-hand side. Brilliant ball. Estepina just gone asleep a little bit. Bowen, brilliant run. Great first touch and just toe poked into the far corner. Looks like De Zerbi's going to make a change on that. Pedro looks like he's going to come on.
Yeah, João Pedro is the player who's coming on as West Ham go 2-0 up here against a team that beat them home and away. Just to remind you, Brighton, without conceding a goal last season, have won their last 3 against West Ham away from home in the top flights. West Ham have lost 6 and drawn 2, have not won away from home against this Brighton side. And João Pedro and Adam Lallana, a double substitution to be made. So keep your eyes on this, Simon Bassi, for the changes that are going to be made. And well,
back off.
Yeah, so João Pedro comes off. João Pedro comes on. Danny Welbeck comes off, and Billy Gilmore is the other player who's being replaced. Adam Lallana coming on for him.
Well, if you time and time again, West Ham sit in, counter-attack, and that was a perfect counter-attack goal. It was brilliant run, brilliant cross, and Bowen to catch the game up like that and execute it with 2 brilliant touches was perfect counter-attack goal.
As I say, I thought that Brighton were basically offering West Ham that opportunity by playing so high, by having so many players in West Ham's.
That's it. When you play that high, you have to keep possession of the ball, and just one misplaced pass and then you're wide open. And West Ham have got the players to expose that. Antonio, Ben Rama, Bowen.
Ball is with Lallana. Talking about experience in this Brighton side, that's another player who is a veteran of the game in Adam Lallana.
Yeah, started his career not far from here down the road, Southampton. And
well, Brighton managed to weave their way to the West Ham 6-yard box, but Paquetá has been helping out a great deal defensively, brings down Estepinian, who I have to say, in my opinion, made a meal of that. He was rolling about.
He could have turned himself and fell over. It was never a foul, in my opinion.
Well, I've got to say, he was rolling about 10 seconds ago. He's recovered remarkably, Simon Bassi.
It's amazing how that happens, Emma.
Ball in field.
What a signing he's been, Estepinian. £4.5 million. Sold Cucurella for 60 and get him for £4.5 million, and they keep doing it, Brighton.
It is what Brighton do. It's kind of the way that Brentford work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, you see how high Brighton are as a team. And Lewis Dunk's trying to chip that in 36 yards from goal.
The last time West Ham beat Brighton in the top flight was at Upton Park in 1983. Tony Cottee, one of the goal scorers on that occasion.
He scored every week in 1983, Tony Cottee.
Yeah, if you're doing your West Ham trivia, you could probably just guess Tony Cottee.
Yeah. He got one and Frank McAvenny would have got the other.
Exactly. Well, Brighton now need to respond to this, and
West Ham just need to slow it down now. They're in full control of the scoreline. Ariola's just thrown one out a minute ago, and West Ham weren't set to receive it. So just some sensible game management now, and you can see them taking control of this.
If it stays like it is, West Ham will have 7 points from the first 3 games of this new season. And just to remind you, it took until the 4th game of last season for West Ham to score their first goal.
Absolutely.
They've sold arguably one of the best players they've had in a West Ham shirt for years in Declan Rice over the summer. Have they missed him today, Simon Bassey?
Well, I mean, Rice,
They'd like to have him, wouldn't they?
You're always going to miss Declan Rice. He's a top player, but what West Ham have done, they've invested the money pretty wisely so far.
Here with Bowen, turn from Antonio! It's 3-0! The pass from Bowen to find Mikel Antonio, and surely West Ham are going to win against bogey side Brighton now. Mikel Antonio on the score sheet. Brighton 0, West Ham 3.
And just as I was saying, they got it from the goal kick that time. They've gone longer into Paquetá. It's gone over his head, landed at Bowen, just kept it in, and then a brilliant ball into the centre forward, and brilliant roll, brilliant finish on his strong right side, Antonio.
Well, he spoke after the Chelsea game. I was saying that he was disappointed with his performance against Bournemouth, which I saw, and to be fair, he was very isolated in that game.
Yeah.
I think he was asked to do quite a lot, although he accepted that as an individual he could have done better. Delighted to get on the score sheet against Chelsea in that 3-1 win last weekend, with West Ham left with 10 players on the pitch by the end of that game. And he says, you know, once you get one, you start to think that you can get more and more, and he's got his second of the season.
Absolutely.
Here.
Little known secret, Emma, I nearly signed Antonio when I was a coach at Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon. We couldn't get the £75 that he wanted. He was in Tooting and Mitcham's reserves at the time. Jamie Lawrence, is a friend of mine, brought him down and said, take this boy. He went to see the chairman, and we couldn't get any more money. So he ended up going back to Tooting and Mitcham, and then Reading signed him.
What year was this, Simon?
Oh, Jesus, 2002, 2003, something like that.
Just to say, I would have lent you the money.
I'd have paid it myself if I'd have known.
Absolutely. Matoma, just think what you could have said that you'd been a part of, that ascendancy to this position. Antonio, who will know that this West Ham side are going to be playing in the Europa League. We'll be finding out who their opponents are before long. Brighton here trying to get back into this game, and João Pedro's gone down, and
he's all right.
Yeah,
just landed on
some
his
frustrated Brighton fans calling for anything here. 3-0 West Ham lead here.
But these areas now that Brighton are crossing from, perfect for West Ham. They set up big centre halves who deal with them crosses. It's when Brighton get to the touchline and they cut them back is what they don't want. So as they are at the moment, I think West Ham would be happy with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Ball comes back to Gross. Gross tries to play it through bodies. Areola was down to get the touch to it, but to take it out for another corner for Brighton, who are heading towards double figures for corners in this game. 3-0 low to West Ham. Corner is a left-footed in-swinger. It finds ahead, and it is again pushed away by Areola, who's being called into action again and again, the West Ham goalkeeper.
Yeah, good save there. Dunks come off the stack there, come round the back against zonal marking, got a free header. But save you'd expect Areola to make, but it's a good save. And then just a Brighton player offside.
I wouldn't be surprised if quite a few of those fans to our right-hand side were in Prague at the end of last season.
I think the whole of East London was in Prague from the footage.
Definitely, I think any West Ham fan by
if they wasn't, they're going to say they was now.
Plane, train or automobile were there.
Sure, they had a good night.
It's a real shame that there weren't more fans who were able to get tickets
to have a European
for the game.
Competition with such a small attendance is criminal, really.
3-0 the Hammers lead. 22 minutes of the second half have been played. Ward-Prowse had given West Ham the lead before half-time. Bowen and Antonio on the score sheet. Here it's another chance as Ward-Prowse gets a shot from just outside the D.
Yeah, he's one you wouldn't want to give too many shots. As I say, 11 goals last year from midfield, so...
Brighton Brighton had made a change of goalkeeper here. Zurbruggen in the Brighton goal, making his debut, but I don't think he's necessarily made any mistakes that have led to these goals, has he?
No, you wouldn't say. I mean, he's 2 1v1s pretty much, the second 2 goals, so yeah, he can't really...
Here with João Pedro, able to chest it down, but Ward-Prowse among the players who shut him down as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how he does, João Pedro at Brighton. You know, they're in and out at Watford at times. But I think record signing for Brighton.
Brazilian, as you say, from Watford, scored a penalty in the win against Luton that started the season for Brighton with a 4-1 victory. Yeah, and that was a tight game, you know. I think that was 2-1 until 5 minutes to go, and then comes forward to João Pedro, now with Ferguson. Ogbonna and Paquetá either side of him. Might roll kindly though for one of the Brighton players. Now with Matoma, he drops down inside the penalty area. Instantly, Anthony Taylor does the referee's hand wave that says that is not a penalty.
Yeah, we keep it coming this way, West Ham. They can another counter-attack on, but yeah, Matoma sped it up beautifully and ended up driving into bodies and more in hope than...
Well, just to let you know, Brighton have scored in each of their last 18 Premier League matches. It is the longest Premier League scoring streak by any club. Tottenham on 14 are the team behind them. So if recent history is anything to go by, we will expect Brighton to score a goal. But West Ham have scored 3. Here it's with Matoma. Comes in to be taken away by Kurt Zouma, who just sorts out the players either side of him in the West Ham defence.
Yeah, these chip crosses that Brighton have been putting in from wider areas, deeper wide areas, they're food and drink for Zouma and Ogbonna.
Well, they might have to deal with one again. It's low this time though, actually, to Ferguson. Paquetá is there again. Got to say, Paquetá and Ward-Prowse have been brilliant defensively.
Paroled excellently in there, you know. When Souček went off, you thought they might lose a little bit of defensive shape, but Paquetá's gone in there and gone about his work really thoroughly.
And we've been impressed by what we've seen from Alvarez so far as well. Ball is with Matoma. Matoma finds Gross. Now out to Estepinian, left-hand side. The cross is headed away by Alvarez, who I was just mentioning a few moments ago. Goes out on the far side.
Yeah, he's been
down on the pitch,
on his
spun around.
Alvarez. Looks like he's just stretching his hamstring a little bit now. Maybe the pace of the game's caught up with him, but he's had a good debut for West Ham. Not an easy place to come and play. Certainly with the way Brighton play, they pop up either side here, but he's gone about his work really well, really impressive, and say built for the Premier League. Look at him, 6'2", athletic. Looks a real good player. You play for Ajax, you're technically good, so he's got a lot of pluses going for him.
Brighton are going to make 2 more changes when they get the opportunity. Veltman and Dingra are the players who are waiting just in front of us. Here it's forward to Antonio. Great chance for 4-0. Oh, and somehow, well, maybe he was asking a bit too much of himself. He had to be very acrobatic there, Mikel Antonio.
Yeah,
and I think he and the goalkeeper might have... Well, I think the goalkeeper looks as if he might have knocked his hand. Did Mikel Antonio actually go into the post, Simon Bassett?
He looked like he was halfway through a somersault.
No, he was clattered into by the goalkeeper. Well, James Milner's going to come off, so that's one of the latest changes made by Brighton. And Veltman, the player who comes on.
Solly March is off.
And Solly March is also going to come off, so he won't be adding to his goal scoring this afternoon. Adingra, the player who comes on, who actually scored a goal as a substitute in the win against Luton, the Ivorian. Yeah. Are you going to tell me you know him as well, Simon? You almost signed him.
Never scouted in Ivory Coast.
I do love the fact that you were £75 away from signing Mikel Antonio.
I don't really tell people that.
No, well,
probably should have said it on radio.
73 minutes on the clock. The ones that got away, there are hundreds of those stories, I'm sure.
Certainly there's a list.
Ball with Lallana, out to Ndingra, just off the bench. Cut back to Veltman, the two substitutes getting their first touches since coming on the right-hand side of the West Ham penalty area. Now comes in field to Dunk.
Again, every Brighton player in the West Ham final third.
And they have to be careful again, because it might leave them vulnerable to a break from West Ham. But I suppose at this stage, Brighton are thinking, we need a goal back.
Well, yeah, I mean, they need a goal now, really, to look at altering the scoreline permanently. But, West Ham will defend these deeper crosses.
Comes out to Estepinian. Estepinian rolls it to Matoma. Left-hand corner of the West Ham 18-yard box. Now with João Pedro. Cuts it back to Dunk. Dunk finds Gross. Gross squares the ball to Webster. Now out to Adingra, who cuts in from the right-hand side. A bit of trickery from him to launch it towards Matoma. Picked up now by Estepinian. Threat not yet away from this West Ham defence. Given back to Adingra, who's decided to come across to this left-hand side to do a few step overs.
Yeah, not ideal, your centre forward crossing it from wide left when you're 3-0 down for Brighton. But again, West Ham sitting in there. Brighton so high, they're just waiting to counter-attack.
Could be back-to-back wins for West Ham after that victory at home against Chelsea. Away from home last season, West Ham won 3 games in total.
Yeah.
They drew 3 and lost 13 on their travels.
As I say, for whatever reason, certainly before Christmas last year, West Ham never really got going. Whether it's some players that needed time to settle, Paquetá and so on. But towards the back end of the season, obviously the European campaign, they clicked in, and they've started this season in fine form.
They would have suspected that they'd struggle
at the back post
today, but they're 3-0 up. This could be a chance. Benrahma, well, Paquetá was there, Antonio was there, Bowen as well. Might be another opportunity for Benrahma to play this back in from the left-hand side. Paquetá's gone across to that far side of the pitch to offer him a bit of support. Brazilian and the Algerian. Away, Olays from the West Ham fans. And now a look up from Paquetá. Holds up the ball by the corner flag. 75 minutes on the clock. Still got 15 to play. He's won his team a corner. He and Alvarez give each other a high five. Yeah.
But real good upper body strength, Paquetá. First time I've seen him live, and again, lovely size, good upper body strength. Knows South American, knows how to use his body well.
Well, West Ham are going to make a change. It will be defensive. Kera's waiting to come on. The only change they've made so far was the Benrahma change for Souček in the first half.
Forced one.
Corner to be taken on the far side. It's an in-swinger.
Again, he's gone for that real heavy whip, Ward-Prowse.
We're used to seeing Jared Bowen, aren't we, take those corners, but Ward-Prowse is...
I'm not sure anyone's going to get Ward-Prowse off of set pieces.
No.
As we say, Beckham comes out of retirement.
Ball is with Zebrugan, quickly forward from the Brighton goalkeeper, rolls it to Dunk, and then to Gross. Arm round the shoulder of Thilo Kehrer from David Moyes. Last instructions.
I'm not sure if he's going to come on one up in front of Soufal just to shut that side off.
Ball is now with Ferguson. Brighton have it about 20 yards out. Bowen with the interception, keen to race away as quickly as possible, but denied by Brighton collecting again, finding Estepinian and now Matoma. Matoma with a right-footed ball into the box, and Emerson is there. Goes out to Benrahma on the left-hand side of the West Ham defence at the moment. Now the loose ball rolls out to the right-hand corner of the box. The cross-in is cleared by the head of Soufal. It'll roll back to Webster for Brighton on halfway. Still Kehrer waits to come on, and we'll wait to see Simon Bassey exactly what West Ham plan to do with him. 3-0, the Hammers leading here at the Amex Stadium. Are they going to get their first Premier League win against Brighton? Well, a Brighton player's gone down. Again, Anthony Taylor is allowing play to continue. He stayed down. I think it was Estepinian again, who sat down for a moment, realised he was getting absolutely nothing from that. Sorry, João Pedro. And then quickly back to his feet. He's on the ball at the moment, skips away from Ward-Prowse. The squared pass is picked up by Ben Rama. Gross, though, gets it back for Brighton quickly. Out to the right-hand side, back to Gross. Areola pushes it away with both gloves.
Great save. You say this substitution could come for West Ham because they've got a few walking at the moment. Paquetá, Bowen walking back there.
We saw Alvarez sort of stretching, didn't we? But yes, Mikel Antonio is the player who's coming off to be replaced by Thilo Kehrer. So Kehrer comes on, a defensive player for an attacking player.
Yeah, whether he'll go and play off the right-hand side and Bowen go and play through the middle and just try and give Soufal some help in front of him with another defensive-minded player.
Kehrer on, Antonio off. Gets
but can be happy with his day's work. A handshake
from Moyes and Nolan. Yep.
Antonio selfless running, and just goes to show you keep going after stuff, you get your rewards.
Well, he set up Ward-Prowse, didn't he? And he scored himself.
Yeah.
It's bouncing dangerously from that Brighton corner. That I make their 10th of this game. And now here it's with Ben Rama. Sliding in on him was a Brighton challenge. Jumps away from that. Back heel from Ward-Prowse. Back to Ben Rama. Back to Ward-Prowse again. This could be something special. And it bounces off the frame of the goal.
Scored West Ham. Brilliant counter again. Brighton wide open. Exchange of passes down the right-hand side. Ward-Prowse and Ben Rama. And I think Dunk put it onto his own crossbar. The game's so open at the moment.
Yeah. Comes for... Well, it was a weak shot in the end from Ferguson, who I think is showing his frustration because, well, there was little power in that, and of all the saves that Areola's had to make, that was probably one of the easiest this afternoon.
And I think they're just signaling the West Ham players. Alvarez again laying down, stretching his hamstrings. He's done. I think sensibly Moyes needs to get him off now. I think trying to ready Fornals, are they, to go and play in there.
Yeah. So another
change. He's done a good job, Alvarez, but
just getting used to the pace.
Just getting used to it.
And what pace this game's been played at, Simon Bassey.
Second half been extremely quick.
Here it's with Gross. Gross is shot, and Brighton get one back. Pascal Gross with a twist and a turn, and he strikes past Areola. And that goal-scoring record for Brighton continues. That's a 19th Premier League match in succession. But they've still got work to do if they want to prevent West Ham from winning here at the Amex. It's Brighton 1, West Ham 3.
And we were just talking about Alvarez, probably the first time there he's got out to the shot. He's not moved his feet quickly. He's sold himself a little bit, and Gross has put it in the opposite corner. It's a really good strike, but West Ham just need to regroup and see this through.
What were you saying about those late goals in the Luton game, Simon Bassey? I know. 3-0 feels like a very comfortable cushion. 3-1, and you're suddenly thinking,
well, the next goal is important. And West Ham have got no real defensive changes, certainly in the midfield area, to make. Fornals is another probably an attacking player more than anything.
Well, Fornals was preparing to come on just as that Pascal Gross goal went in, and the noise level increases at the Amex. They have been stunned, these Brighton fans, by those 3 West Ham goals, and they're suddenly encouraged by that Pascal Gross goal as we head into the last 10 minutes of the 90. We'll wait to see who Fornals comes on for. Ball with Veltman. Veltman to Gross. Gross finds Dunk. Dunk to Estepinian. Estepinian gives the ball to Pascal Gross again, and then the pass to João Pedro. Did it take a deflection?
Yeah,
it did. It goes out for another corner
keep
for
it
Brighton.
down wide, West Ham. They defend the crosses well. It's when they get to them central areas, they look to slide these little balls in and around the corner that the problems start.
Well, it's a corner that's taken quickly and short by Gross.
Yeah,
comes back to the Brighton goal scorer. Back with Gross again. Finds Estepinian on the overlap. Tries to cut it back. Good block by Soufal. And I'm not sure what the referee's saying there.
Well, I think the Brighton players are asking for handball. Soufal slid in. His left arm looked like it was dragging behind him.
It was in a natural position, I would argue.
You'd argue, yeah. From where we are, it's in a desperate, I know, 3-1 down, they're going to go for anything, but
the referee's given the corner. VAR would have said if he needed to look at that again. And Soufal, he was sliding in to make the block, and his arm was in a natural position. This is now the rule when it comes to these things. It's not just if it hits your hand or your arm in the 18-yard box. Was your arm in a natural position? Yes, it was.
You'd say so. I'd certainly say so. Alvarez again down the cramp.
Well, Soufal's coming off. Fornals and Ings are the players who's coming on. And I think the referee is telling the Mexican international to get off the pitch rather than to sit down. He's saying if you need medical attention or if you're coming off, then get off.
Well, he's off, but he's gone the long way round.
Yeah. So Alvarez comes off. Fornals comes on for him. And Danny Ings is also waiting to come on. And Paquetá comes off to be replaced by Danny Ings. So a couple more changes.
Just in between all that, Brighton get a corner. They get the short corner. They work it 2v1, and Estepinian kicks it against his own leg and kicks it out for a goal kick that we're still waiting to take. But good shift, Paquetá. Could be happy with his work today. You know, a lot of speculation, a lot of stuff going on in the background with him pre-season, but he's put a good shift in today.
Yeah, the reports that he was on his way to Manchester City.
Yep.
And there have been a few personal issues that he's had to deal with recently, Paquetá. But yes, I think one of the players who's really shone this afternoon for West Ham.
You can see the quality that he has.
Ball is with Gross and now Matoma. So West Ham having made those extra changes. Now it's with João Pedro. Matoma goes down, and again he looks at the referee, and maybe at one stage the referee ought to book the player who's dropped down on the pitch onto the bench time, because he's looking for a penalty that he's not going to get. He
just tried to work a give and go, and Soufal shut the door right in front of him, blocked the space up, brilliant defending, and Matoma's run into the back of him and gone over. But brilliant defending by Soufal, because that's the sort of areas Matoma, when he speeds it up around the 18-yard box, he's really sharp. But I say great defending, shut the door, Soufal.
5 minutes of the 90 left to play. Danny Ings getting his first touch.
That's much better play from West Ham. Stop taking risks, playing out the back. They've kicked on to Bowen, who's beaten Estepinian in the air easy. Now West Ham are in the 18.
Finds Fornals and then Ben Rama.
Yeah, look at, they've got a corner.
They've won a corner out of it. Well, I thought they'd won a corner out of it. The West Ham fans behind that goal thought they'd won a corner. They've just about kept in play. 3-1 West Ham lead here. Ward-Prowse giving West Ham the lead in the first half. Bowen and Antonio on the score sheet in the second. Pascal Gross to make it interesting with 10 minutes of the 90 left to play. Forward from Estepinian to João Pedro. Estepinian is still racing down Brighton's left-hand side. The back heel finds it. Now he tries to play it into Matoma. And
pick his head up. Ferguson's unmarked back post. Now Estepinian's just tried the low cross, where if he'd have just stood it up there, Ferguson unmarked. But again, short free kick, 3v2 Brighton. West Ham need to switch on.
After that block, crucial block from Kurt Zouma, picked up by Gross. Now, João Pedro collects for Brighton. João Pedro again to the far post. Matoma's there. Areola makes the save. Well, it was Pascal Gross again.
Brilliant play.
And Areola with a brilliant save to deny him his second, and to, well, make sure that West Ham fans aren't sensing that this game might be turning.
Yeah, the goal then, we'd have really seen a fantastic end to it. But brilliant play by Brighton, worked a wide triangle really well.
Now with Bowen's still running, Matoma's on him, Matoma pulls him down, and he's going to be shown a card, Matoma. It's going to be yellow.
Yeah.
And he took one for the team there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Just what you want from Bowen. Powerful runner, picked it up, drove at Estepinian, put it one side, run the other. You know, Matoma struggling to get back, you know, committed the foul and took the yellow card, but brilliant play by Bowen.
After a great chance from Pascal Gross and a fantastic stretching save from Areola.
Yeah, he caught it really sweet on the volley there.
That to make it 3-2. Although saying that, West Ham have had chances to score more than three, including one that bounced back off the frame of the Brighton goal from a Brighton defender. Now it's a shove by Kehrer on Matoma. He's saying, book the West Ham player, and Anthony Taylor dutifully does that. Thilo Kehrer's now in the book. Yeah, exactly the same as Matoma just 2 minutes earlier. And De Zerbi picks it up and wants him to get on with it and has a word with João Pedro. Now with João Pedro, the pass to Adam Lallana, perhaps somewhat surprising him. It was just a little too strong. Just a little bit in front of him, yeah. As he, I mean, if he'd have controlled that, he was 7 yards from goal. And West Ham just need to steady it down a little bit, because if Brighton score now, we can expect a real fiery ending, because as you've seen this season in the Premier League, they've added on time, we can play anything. Well, we've had 3 goals, several substitutions, so we're probably few bookings. We're probably at 6 minutes just through that. So, well, the difference this year is that the clock gets stopped any time there is a stoppage, so it's real time. Yeah, absolutely. Ball with João Pedro. Flicks it to Matoma. I've been at some games this year, 19 minutes they've added on time. Bowen can't get away from Matoma, wins it back for the home side. Comes out to Estepinian. They've not given up on this, Brighton. As we're saying, we don't know how much more time there will be after the 90. João Pedro in. Stood up far post. Cleared by Ogbonna. Yeah, I think it was Ben Rama, suspicious defending back into his own penalty area, and Ogbonna just gets it clear. But well, we'll wait to see what number the fourth official shows, but of course it doesn't mean that that's as much time. That's at least as much time. Yeah. Ball with Gross. There we go. 6 minutes. So into 6 minutes at least of added on time. So. Ball with Estepinian. Leaping was Ferguson, but at West Ham clearance gets there first. Plenty of defending to do. Fornells is helping out as well. I think they're all helping out at the minute. They're playing without a centre forward. Ings is playing right wing. They're all inside their defensive third, yeah. And at top, I say, it just keeps coming back. But they defended stoutly, especially the two centre halves, and Alvarez when he was on, he was filling gaps and clearing headers. Brighton so much play around the West Ham final third. Comes to Matoma. Soufal just holding his ground. Now Estepinian is able to get across it. The header away is by Emerson. Now picked up. And there's a chase on. Fornells won't get there before Webster. Just get back in his hole. David Moyes would have put on these sort of defensive sessions millions of times through his career. You know, it's really hard to score when teams bank in like this, and they've done it brilliantly, West Ham. Ball with João Pedro to Matoma. Might find Ferguson. Another great save from Areola. The ball found its way to Ferguson, and Areola stretched to turn it away. Well, in a match in which there could be many contenders for West Ham man of the match, he's up there, isn't he? Areola, absolutely, when he called upon, and he hasn't been called upon loads as much as the possession says, but he's made some really important saves. And Ogbonna there just stretching to intercept the pass, looks like he's got cramp, falls to Ferguson, who takes a snapshot straight at Areola really, but he gets his left hand up and gets it out of the way. It's a really strong save. 3-1 to West Ham at the moment, a 2-goal cushion with 2 minutes of the 6 minutes of added on time having been played. but it's another corner.
Another corner
for Brighton. It's an outswinger, and it finds a head. And it was Dunk who was the player who got his head to it, and a West Ham player who managed to clear.
Danny Ings, I
just
think,
on
off
his
the
line.
Danny Ings, brilliant defending off the line. Beats Areola. Webster's header beats Areola, and Ings back defending on the line. Brilliant instincts from centre forward, certainly.
Well, he gets a pat on the back by Areola and then a shove away from him. Like, well done, thanks for doing that.
It was Dunk.
Yeah, it was Dunk who got his head to it, and Ings, who leapt in front of his goalkeeper, I think picked up a knock at the same time, which fortunately shaken off quite quickly. Well, every West Ham player is playing their part this afternoon. If it stays like this, if they get the 3 points, when they're all sitting in those ice baths, which I'm sure they're going to be doing after this,
absolutely,
and feeling
back
it.
5 West Ham since Keeler's come on, back 5. 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs who haven't crossed the halfway line.
Yeah, they're happily sat there, aren't they?
Pretty much no centre forward. Ings is false 9. And looking to just really see that through. Good move by David Moy, just gives him another body and a width for the goal.
Still low, Brighton are trying to get forwards. Picked up by Estepinian.
Loose touch by Estepinian.
Comes back to Dunk. He's urged to shoot and does so. Yeah. But it's about 5 or 6 yards over the West Ham crossbar.
Yeah, optimistic. He's obviously been watching videos of Sean Raggett or Vincent Kompany, because not many centre halves stick it in the top corner from there.
But when they do, it tends to be an important goal, doesn't it?
They tend to be memorable.
David Moyes is saying 2 minutes. That's what I can tell from his body language.
Yeah, that's what we've got on the clock. West Ham fans in full voice, they think they're pretty close.
West Ham away against Luton next. Luton, of course, at Kenilworth Road for the first time on a Friday night, by the way, which is also transfer deadline day, and also the day that both Brighton and West Ham will find out who they're going to be playing in the Europa League. I was speaking to the West Ham media team, who said, yeah, we're going to be spread a little thin on that day, so that'll be fascinating. 3-1 West Ham lead, 95 minutes almost played. Just a reminder, 6 minutes was shown by the 4th official. Will there be any more to add after the 6? Ball with Bowen. Forward to Danny Ings, just holds up the ball on the right hand side of midfield.
Keep the ball for a bit, West Ham.
Comes back to Ward-Prowse, who opened the scoring for West Ham here. Ward-Prowse in the first half. Bowen and Antonio.
4 passes, and the West Ham faithful are laying away to our right there. A lot of the Brighton
Are you
fans,
Barcelona in disguise, West Ham?
A lot of the Brighton fans look like they've seen enough and on their way out. And there's West Ham fans not moving.
Plenty of smiles among the West Ham bench. I've got to say, the transport situation isn't ideal in terms of getting home from here. I think the last train out of Brighton is at 8:30, and it's not that easy to get from here to there. The roads are going to be busy as well, so I think these West Ham fans rewarded for the trip here for this late kick-off on this Saturday afternoon. Ball is with Bowen. West Ham have it exactly where they want it in the latter stages. Pull back for Fornals, decides not to go for the shot, lays it off for Ward-Prowse, back to Fornals again. Doesn't fancy taking the shot. We've played the 6 minutes, and West Ham have it exactly where they want it. Soufal on the right hand side, infield to Fornals. They're going to get a famous win against Brighton here at the Amex.
Yeah, brilliant game management from West Ham there. And they don't have to score again, they just need to keep the ball away from Brighton.
Now with Emerson.
Offside.
Emerson forward, Bowen, well, the flagger stays down, Bowen's racing, Zurbruggen gets his gloves to it anyway, will come back maybe for another chance. This time it's with Ben Rama. Does Ben Rama fancy getting on the score sheet before
now the flag goes
the full-time whistle blows? But as the flag is raised, Anthony Taylor blows his whistle, and for the first time West Ham have beaten Brighton in the Premier League. Ward-Prowse with his first goal in a West Ham shirt. Jarrod Bowen and Mikel Antonio adding goals in the second half. Pascal Gross gave Brighton some hope with 10 minutes left to play, but it is West Ham who add to their home victory against Chelsea with another win on the road here at the Amex. It is 7 points from their first 3 games of this new Premier League season. Simon Bassey, thank you very much for your company here at the Amex this afternoon. Thank you very much to everybody back in the office. We will have commentaries for you throughout the week, and they will include, by the way, full commentary of Luton against West Ham on Friday night on BBC Radio London. After it finished here, Brighton 1, West Ham 3.
BBC Radio London,
The home of London football.